of my heart, and I will praise you with all of my strength, and I will seek you all of my days, and I will follow all of your ways. I will give you all my worship, I will give you all my praise. You alone I long to worship, you alone are worthy of my praise. I will bow down and hail you as King, and I will serve you, I'll give you everything, and I will lift up my eyes to your throne, and I
Alright guys, I just finished my first serving board. Fixing to make another one. I'm going to try and alleviate some of the mistakes I made in the first one, see if this one turns out any better. I'm going to do it a little differently. First, you need to get you some mold release in there. I got my Sinker Cypress cut out to the shapes I want. Now, don't go all the way over to the edge. In the bottom, there's a little lip there. That helps it, I'm guessing that helps it release out of your mold. But also, it leaves it away from the edges. You cannot force it into the edges. If you do, your molds won't be sitting straight. I'm going to do it just like this here. We'll put as a weight on top of it. And she is now ready to mix and pour. I get a little bit of trash in the bottom here. I've sanded and blown, and yeah, I guess you're just going to get that. I'm not good at clean work, but this here I found out it's best to be as clean as you can. Let me get my acrylic stuff together and we'll get her mixed up and poured. Okay, today I got in some new magic resin. It's a 2-to-1. It'll tell you 2A, 1B, and this is good up to 2 inches. So
I will trust you, I will trust you alone. I will give you all my worship, I will give you all my praise. You alone I long to worship, you alone are worthy of my praise. And hail you as King, and I will serve you, I'll give you everything.
okay, it's been about 5 or 6 days since I molded this, and it's in here pretty good. Now, if you can see all this commotion going on in the acrylic, one thing you got to remember, the instructions say that this is going to cure, or you have about a 1 hour working time. After that, you can't mess with it. I was back in here after about 6 hours stirring that up, trying to stir up the pigment in order to get that. So you have plenty of time to do that. If you just pour it and walk away, you won't get them curlicues. It seems to just settle out in there on top. And I didn't get it all the way on this side. If you notice, I got some right in here. And I got some on the corners, but it didn't go all over. But one thing I did mess up on is I didn't put any of my tape on the bottom of these two blocks. So I don't know how well these are going to demold and knock off of there, if I'm going to tear something up. So I'm just going to go ahead and work on demolding this, and we'll just see what happens.
I will trust you alone. I will give you all my worship. I will give you all my praise. You alone, I long to worship. You alone are worthy of my praise. I will give you all my worship. I will give you all my praise. You alone, I long to worship. You alone are worthy of my praise.
Alright, now look real close. When I was hammering, I broke it. You see it right here. And it goes all the way down to where the wood is. So what I'm going to have to do is stick this back in the mold. I'll clean it up real good. I'll stick it back in the mold. And I'll put some clear to fill that up. And I'll put some clear on here. And hopefully that'll patch it up enough. I may even notch out some in the bottom and put some down there or some on the end. We'll see. But I'm going to have to redo that because that's the board split on me. So we're going to do something different. Alrighty, we're going to try it one more time. If you notice, this is the back side. That's where that crack was. You see the crack right there for sure. And I got the end. I got my stoner mold release in here. Drop this back in. And it fits like a glove. And I got my stoner on my Teflon. We're going to put that down first. And then my wood. Just like so. Okay. Now I should be able to get it loose this time. So now I'm going to mix up my acrylic. And we'll fill her up.
Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling for you and for me. See on the portals, he's waiting and watching, watching for you and for me. Come home, come home.
Alright, it's been about a day since I poured this patchwork on here. This is where I ground out here, and that's where I pulled up the board there. So it all looks pretty good with that top coat. And now we're going to demold it and see if it made it to the bottom. Looks like it made it through most of the bottom. I'm gonna call that good. I think that's ready for the table. Okay, I finally got it all done. I made one little pass trying to play with it some. It's gonna take me a while to figure it out, but this rail system works pretty good. You just don't want to move this out here. You want to hold the middle. You can hold the middle and do it real well. I'm going to make a couple passes and show y'all what this rail system looks like. And I got another video for this board. So whether you're looking at the rail system or at the board, you're both seeing it. So if you want to see it in full action, see me build this, pull up the rail. If you want to see this and you're looking at the rail, pull up the board. Anyway, vice versa. Here we go. Let's see here. Forgot where I'm at now. I got excited.
Ye who are weary, come home. Earnestly, tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling. Oh, sinners, come home. Why should we tarry when Jesus is pleading, pleading for you and for me? Why should we linger and heed not his mercies, mercies for you and for me? Come home, come home, ye who are weary, come home. Earnestly, tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling. Oh, sinners, come home.
Alright, now that feels pretty good. I got a little bit more. Probably going to take one more pass on it and then I'll flip it over. So if you're watching this, when I'm making this, you see how easy it is to do. I can still feel a little bit in here. I don't know where I'm getting the deflection at, but what I'm feeling ought to sand out pretty easy. But I gotta take it down a little bit further, looks like, to get so I can see some more of my wood here.
Come home, come home, ye who are weary, come home. Earnestly, tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling. Oh, sinners, come home. Calling, oh, sinners, come home. Come and listen into a radio station where the mighty hosts of heaven sing. Turn your radio on turn your radio on. If you wanna feel those good vibrations coming from the joy that his love can bring, turn your radio on. Turn your radio on. Turn your radio on. And listen to the music in the air. Turn your radio on. And glory share. Turn your lights down low. And listen to the Master's radio. Get in touch with God. And turn your radio on. Everybody is a radio receiver. All you gotta do is listen for the call. Turn your radio on. Turn your radio on. If you're listening, you'll be a believer, leaning on the truth that'll never fall. Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on. Turn your radio on. And listen to the music in the air. Turn your radio on. And glory share. Turn your lights down low and listen to the Master's radio. Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on. Turn your radio on and listen to the music in the air. Turn your radio on and glory share. Turn your lights down low and listen to the Master's radio. Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on. Turn your lights down low and listen to the Master's radio.
Turn your lights down low and listen to the Master's radio.
And get in touch with God. Turn your radio on. I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and He walks with me and He talks with me, and He tells me I am His own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks, and the sound of His voice is so sweet. The birds hush their singing, and the melody that He gave to me within my heart is ringing, and He walks with me, and
I'm gonna go ahead. I got
talks.
3 of my boards ready. While I'm making 3 separate videos, I'm gonna put all 3 of them. Try and do all 3 of these boards at one time makes it easier. But I got my magic resin tabletop, and I got it mixed up. It mixes it up 50-50. And we're going to start putting it on these boards. And I'm doing the back side first. That way I can, if any gets on the other side or drips or runs, I can fix that by sanding before I finish the actual top side. So I chose which side I wanted first. This is just going to brush it on here. We'll get a good covering and it'll level itself out or smooth itself out once we get that good covering. Like I say, I'm going to go ahead and probably fast forward through some of this so y'all can see what I'm doing. But I won't be talking because I'm going to be, ended up probably fast forwarding the video. But I'm going to hit all these outside edges. A little bit with it. I'm just going to try and get what I can see fully coated. And then after this hardens up, then I'll flip it over, and if I gotta sand some on the top side before I do it, then I will. And I probably will because I got some runs there. You just gotta watch how much you put this on. Some of it goes on thicker than others. But if it's too thick, it's going to run off the sides. But it should be self-leveling. We'll come back when I get done putting it on the others, and we'll clean up the bubbles on it. But that cypress, that's going to soak it in pretty good. Alright. Now that one side's done, we gotta flip it over. If you'll notice, you get all the drippy doos. I'm gonna have to sand them off, and then we'll do the other side, and I'll probably sand these edges and hit them a second coat. Alright, let's get to sanding.
I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and He walks with me, and He talks with me, and He tells me I am His own. and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks, and the sound of his voice is so sweet. The birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within.
Alright, I got her sanded down, sanded the edges. I had some pitting in here where it was just soaking in, and some air bubbles and a little dust in it, even a little bug. But so I got it. I sanded down the top, sanded the bevels, I retaped the bottom, and I got me some more of my resin mixed up here. So I'm gonna put on what's hopefully the top and final coat on this, and see how it turns out.
As we tarry there, none other has ever known, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
Okay, now I'll be back out here in about 30 minutes to an hour or so. I'll check on it about every 30 minutes, and we'll go over this bottom, make sure we get rid of any drips. So our line between our acrylic and our tape down there is very minimal. I mean, it's going to be on bottom. You're not going to see it when you're using the tray. Only the person who has the tray and turn it over and over, clean it off. All right, we'll get back together whenever she's cured. All right, it's been about 2 days now. This is the top side. The bottom side, you can see these edges. If I can get it in the camera right here. That's where my tape was, and you're going to see some of that on this. I haven't found another way to overlap and get rid of that unless you just go to sanding and buff down and buff down and buff down. But for being the bottom, I really don't think that's necessary. So I got it marked out for my jig. I got this Craig jig. So you just line it up and put it on your center mark of your board. Drill both holes. Flip it around and do the same thing. It has a line right here in the middle, and I put a pencil line on the center of my board earlier. Get better. There we go. You just don't want to grab underneath your drill bit. Make sure your finger's out of the way. And I have used clamps on this. But if you just hold it, that seems easier to me. Wipe it off. Pull your tape. Wipe it off. Alright. Wipe it down. I get these little stopper deals made for cabinet stops for putting on cabinet doors, keep them from bumping. You can put them one on every corner. That'll give it a little bit of traction and keep the screws from interfering with your countertop or wherever you're putting the board at. Flip it over. There you go. Alright, now y'all seen it from beginning to end. Tell me what you think. You like it, you dislike it, you see a way I could do it different. Just let me know. Leave me a comment. Subscribe to my channel. Click like if you like it. If you don't like it, well, I appreciate you watching. Just go ahead and click the thumbs down button. But I will shout at y'all in the next one.